Thanks for watching. Now in this video, I will be breaking down or explaining how should black people feel regarding the removal of Confederate statues. Now on first glance, that should be a no-brainer, an easy question. Get rid of it. Get rid of all of it. It represents a dark part of our history, and in particular American history in the South, regarding our oppression, the slave trade, etc. So moving forward, it would appear to be obvious, get rid of it, topple it. It hasn't been no more glory anyway, since the Civil War. So again, like I said, you would think that would be a no-brainer. But then again, on the flip side, I'm going to explain why it may be a little bit more difficult to answer that question that you would think. So let me break it down. Well, first, let's just say the people that's against the removal, and let's just say people, whites who identify with the Confederate culture, personally. Of course, they don't want to remove it because in their mind, that represents them. And it probably does, to a good extent, represent them. So, of course, they don't want to remove it. They want it to stand proud or whatever. And this is what brings about the, hell no, get rid of it. So, again, you got that contingent of people who feel that way. Because you got to think, good or bad, that is a part of history. So this is where it gets a little confusing. Well, not confusing, but let me clarify it. Now, how I personally feel, because at first I kind of felt, get rid of it, get rid of all of it. And to a good extent, I still feel that way. But however, there is a part of me, because the truth is truth, and someday, reparations or whatever you want to call it needs to be paid. And I'm going to put it like this. One day it should be an audit of sorts. And how do you determine that audit? Well, you would have to go back to the certain names, plantation owners, etc. And that those statues and memorabilia provides proof that it took place, because you don't want history to be rewritten, so to speak, or you don't want certain things, certain atrocities to be swept under the rug. And the removal of everything of it, essentially that's what it would do. What a new generation's being born, of course they're going to hear about it and they're going to have a Hollywood version of it. But if you have no particular monuments of actual people, places, and dates, that gives no one to incentivize them to actually do further research on the history. And then again, back to, like I said, as far as the audit, you need to have, and of course they got, pretty short books and ledgers and etc. But again, we need actual proof. And I think that, of course, the ledgers is proof, but again, as far as the statues, even naming certain facilities, as much as I pretty much wouldn't care for it, but not everything, because they're not necessarily proudly naming it after these particular people or things as far as honor, but it's just to be like, hey, this is where this happened at, for better or for worse. And one day, once the audit take place, we'll know where to look, so to speak. So that part of me is kind of like, hey, we don't want to just tear down everything. We want to keep certain things, visible. And me personally, I'm not from the South. So people from the South may feel a certain way, like, again, Confederate flags, I don't want to see that. We can burn all them. Certain statues and monuments, and certain key people that play certain key roles, we do need to keep that visible for the see, for not only research purposes, pending audit purposes. So that's how I feel about that. But as far as like the flint out, maybe in a antique shop, a pawn shop, I can see a flag or two. But like I said, I never really been down south, so of course it's different down there. You may see, I'm pretty sure they see everywhere, even probably establishments, but on the back of trucks they'll see that people flying that flag, even though it ain't been no more glory, for a very long time. But then still people hold on to it, and to a small extent that's okay. And again, I'm saying it's okay only as visible proof that that actually happened, that atrocity happened. And like I said, once the audit take place, that'll be proof. So people won't necessarily, the people that's responsible for these atrocities and institutions or whatever, can't just wipe their hands clean and say, hey, that's gone, that's in the past. No, it's not necessarily. Yeah, it took place in the past, but it changes the scope of the day. It actually sets the scope of the day, and to this day it does. But that's a whole different video. But me personally, that's how I feel about it, and that's how I feel the majority, if all, black people, especially us of American descent. I don't think I said that right, but regardless, you know what I mean. And if you a black person, you can comment what you think. Do you think they need to just get rid of all the statues and names and monuments, especially people that's from, the southern states? I would really like to hear what y'all gotta say about that and what y'all really think. Again, like I said, the first thought, of course, get rid of all that. Get rid of all that, everything. And like I said, to a good extent, I still feel that way. But then I also feel that not everything needs to be done away with. Again, like I said, not only for historical purposes, but only for audit purposes. And hey, like it or not, that took place in history. Of course, don't like it, but even for those people who identify with that culture, yeah, we'll leave certain monuments and stuff up for you guys. And of course, you guys are not practicing racism and lynching, not legally, although oppression is still taking place, and that's a different video. But again, like I'm saying, you can't have it both ways. So by them able to promote their culture or whatever, keep in mind that it is the same culture that is responsible for the greatest atrocity in human history. And when it comes to the audit and repayment of that debt, we got to start there with you guys. As far as compensating, whether it be financially, which is most part financially, resourcefully, etc. But again, y'all, that's how I feel about the whole removal of the Confederate statues and Confederate memorabilia. Y'all go ahead and hit that like and let me know what y'all think. Peace.